gamers to your partnership?
Is that question for anybody in particular?
I think I can start. Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, Bob. So, I think what's exciting for us, first of all, is that when you're a gamer, and I'll dive straight into it. If you need to pay for goods and services on the game, then you have to pass through different hoops. So that's one experience that needs to be fixed. So number one, gamers need to be able to buy in-game assets accordingly. Second, when they get paid, and in this case they get paid professionally, right? They need the basic requirements that anyone needs, which is a bank account. And a bank account they can start saving in. And before I hand off to Miguel, these guys can eventually earn, and eventually they have other services like a housing loan, a car loan. And having a financial bank account is a first step, a footprint, right, to, more wealth and more inclusivity for that segment. But I'll let him talk about the needs. But for us to start, I guess, let me just say that from a digital bank perspective, number one, they have financial needs. So they need to save, they need to put money in an account, but they also need to pay for goods and services in this virtual world. And I think that's the bridge that we're trying to do. Not just openly, one by one, but through community partners who are native in the gaming space, because it makes their requirements more real. Let me turn over to Miguel so you can talk about the requirements of the gamer.
Well, so I guess the first thing I'll describe is that when a consumer begins to adopt new services, new products and services, they almost never start out with an intention to tell themselves, "Oh, I want to become a fintech savvy consumer," right? Nobody really thinks that way. And it's usually, they usually start adopting new technologies, new platforms, new services out of an immediate need. And whether that's enabling a microtransaction for buying some cosmetic feature for their avatar, or whether it's buy an in-game item in a game or whatever. What we want to be able to design going forward is something that's catered especially for that particular use case in whatever is most natural for them. Now, it's a little early to kind of expound too much on specifics, but that's very much the intention because Nexplay, of course, understands gamers. That's very much our starting point. As we've said many times over just during the day, where our starting point is as gamers ourselves. So, the idea is to be able to think of what are the use cases where this is most relevant to the consumer, and then be able to design something accordingly in a way as natural as possible for these types of consumers.
Hello. Yeah. I think I would like to answer your latter question on how to kind of inspire or go deeper into the community of gaming. Now, I think what I really like about Union Digital's approach that is compared to the other brands out there is they're going community first, right? So they're really diving into what are the needs of the gamers. I think they really want to listen to what are those needs in particular. And I want to start off by, say, for example, my story earlier. Now, these guys who are starting to make money out of gaming, they are streamers, content creators, talents, like of which we have right now in the venue, right? They started earning on their own potential just by playing games, either professionally or being a content creator. But the thing is, the problem is there's really no straight path to kind of providing them a new way or a service on the digital, on the financial space and services, right? And that's what I believe Union Digital is trying to bridge, to talk to these gamers, what are your needs in particular, in terms of your gaming career, your content creation, the new type of generating of income online, right? Digital transactions and so on. And I think we are a really good use case for that because we're receiving a lot of problems from our content creators, from our players, right? In this, so I think kind of the ideas that we're gonna build is really catered to this type of problems, and they're gonna provide us kind of the service and the platform to build on top of it. So I think that's how we're also gonna penetrate and inspire the gaming community to be part of this program that we're going to develop together.
Thank you. It's not just about gaming, but also you're going to teach them about financial literacy. Thank you.
That's right.
Sorry, can I add on lang to that before we close that topic? When you say financial literacy, sir, I'll say financial identity muna. Because some of the challenges, for example, a gamer wants to buy a house and transfers 2 million pesos. By law, that will trigger the anti-money laundering and suspiciousness action report. And the bank has to ask, what is your source of income for this purchase? Then that's the law. And in many cases, if the bank is or the customer is unable to identify, oh, I earn it from gaming. What do you mean gaming? Then it is that suspicious? No, it has to be recognized by a financially regulated institution, and that's where we come in to help. And those are some of that's it. The financial literacy starts with the identity, and then the awareness on how to navigate that. It's a different form lang kasi of money. I guess that's why, and the source is different, so that's why it's important also. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Rory Visco from frontpageph.com. My question is, a good number of Filipinos remain to be unbanked or underbanked, as the case may be. How has gaming and digitization impacted the progress on this front, and particularly during the pandemic?
Wow, that's a good question. And actually, if I'll make a shameless plug, Rory, you can go to my LinkedIn. I have a whole article I wrote about how play to earn actually was, in my analysis, the path to a bank account for many Filipinos during the pandemic. They didn't know. They didn't know that they had a bank account. It was a crypto wallet. And that's how they were earning. And then they used it and moved it. So many found themselves financially included because they had to cash in their gaming credits, diba? But it's a byproduct of the real objective, diba? Which is to cash in. So many, I think if we look at it and we look at the numbers, we are the number one in terms of NFT ownership in the world. So we have about 40% of the Axie Infinity players. There are other games emerging. MetaMask users, we are at about, I don't know what the last count was already, if it was 18 or 20 million users already, but growing exponentially. The Financial Times has noted that we are the fourth largest digital growing economy in the world. I think the pandemic, regardless of play to earn, really as a digital nation, really moved us over the tipping point. We were the tech capital of the world in 2006. I mean, not a surprise. Tapos naging Facebook capital. The Filipino didn't need too much nudging to be digital. He was savvy already. Ayaw lang. Mahilig lang talaga sa cash yung Pinoy. Wala lang time. But the numbers have turned. Before the pandemic, if I'll digress a bit and talk about digital transactions, there were about, when you were buying online, there were a few options to pay offline, right? Through 7-Eleven or counters. Those are still considered cash payments, diba? That was about 70% of the market. And only about 20% was happening through online bank accounts and 10% cash. Now it's the reverse. It's only 20% cash. 70% are coming from e-wallets and digital payments already. So now, because of the pandemic, wala nang time. Diba? So the Filipino became more digital. I think what happened lang with the play to earn, it gave two in one. It gave you a bank account and in payments at the same time. But that's what I like about the Pinoy. You can't force him to adopt anything. Diba? It took the pandemic, then everyone started moving digital. We've had cryptocurrency and play to earn for years. We've had it since 2010, but the adoption is different. But either way, I think it's becoming more necessary to be regulated, and they realize that they have to come into the regulated space. because you're touching the Philippine peso already. And that's where things have to be regulated properly, because that's a government currency already. But that also unlocks so much more value. I'm earning in the virtual world, but I need to build up wealth in the physical world, which deals with physical risks, right? And are governed by physical rules. So how do you bridge that properly and not just take the extreme and say, ah, wala, this is impossible, or this is... And to deny the phenomena is also amazing because it's there, the numbers are all there, like Filipino gamers, the digital users, di ba? I mean, it's the numbers don't lie in terms of scale.